Hey guys, how's it going? We're here for the third episode of the channel, and as promised in the last episode, I want to discuss today my procedure, my own personal procedure that I've developed over the past year and a half, 2 years of writing. And this is basically after me trying a little bit of everything, reading craft books, watching YouTube videos, practicing myself on how I like to develop stories. So as someone who's kind of a pantser, leans more towards that way, I've structured this procedure to where I can almost play with my own weaknesses. So say if I have a hard time with plotting, I do enough to where there's a little bit of plotting as much as I need to then pants along. So for any of you that don't know, there's kind of a general two sides of writers, where there's pantsers who write from the seat of their pants. They write to discover. They're learning as they go through the story on what's going to happen next. They don't know what's going to happen until the character they're writing reaches that point. Plotters, they're your George R. Martins. They have thought about everything. They're the architects. Before they write it, they know damn well where they're going. So this procedure is centered more towards a pantser. It has a little bit of plotting aspects in it, and I think that helps me as a pantser have a better idea of where I'm going to be going. So it helps lead me down a general direction with my storytelling. So I have it right here on my laptop, and I'm going to kind of read through it and then discuss it with you. So it's written actually in kind of a format that you'll see on my Substack. So you'll kind of see it as if I'm reading it to you, but we'll talk through it. So, procedure is something I do not take lightly and has become a necessary part of my creative process. Once an idea, usually stemmed from the ache of life, weighs closer to a brick than a feather, I create a beat sheet. So, what is a beat sheet? A beat sheet is basically the smallest structure of storytelling. It's the smallest unit of measurement. It could be one back and forth between two characters. It's one thought. It's one singular little thing that happens in the story. But there's also no rules to this. So it could be one beat is he walks to the restaurant. Next beat is he sees girl. Next beat is goes home and cries for not having the girl. I don't know. Cries for not getting her number, I think is what I'm trying to say. Or next beat is goes home with girl. So it could be those small little interactions that help set the pacing of the story. So that's a beat sheet. It's just the smallest unit of storytelling, and it gets a quick little thought between each thing. As a natural pantser, these story beats serve as a guide while writing my first draft. I call this draft 0, inspired by the works of Bob Dylan's Tarantula, meant to be written in a flow state. This is done with zero editing, spacing, or grammar, allowing me to write with intention free from perfection. So, once I get the idea, some inspiration, I create the beat sheet so I get a general idea of where could I take this story. It's not heavy plotting. That's probably the simplest form of plotting, is I have little simple beats of what's happening here and there. That's to kind of serve as a guide. Then to take all of the pressure out of it, I call my first draft, draft 0. So it's meant to be messy as all hell. You should have zero perfection. You should not be going over past sentences you've written in this draft. This is a discovery draft purely. You're here to throw it out onto the page. This is the vomit. It's the rough sketch of the face. There's no definition in this face. There could be, but this is where you get your gems. This is where, as an emotional writer as well as a pantser writer, this is where you just emotional vomit onto the page. It can be too much at times. You want it to be too much at times. Generally, you'll read it back over and you'll find little gems that you want to play with for your next draft, which is your more you let perfectionism come into play. So once you get some inspiration, make your beat sheet, then just do your draft 0. This could feel like pulling teeth at times, because what I run into as a bit of a perfectionist when I'm writing my draft 0, I'll start thinking, wow, this is shit. Something like that. And because of that, I'll be like, it gets hard to finish that draft zero because I don't believe in it. I'm like, this isn't good. It is so important, no matter how good or bad, and there's going to be good in there too, to just finish draft zero. That's almost like, I'd say that's almost a step that no one can do. You're already ahead of half the writers out there if you can get your draft zero done. It's going to feel like pulling teeth at times, but goddamn do it. So, no perfectionism in draft zero. You don't have to do this, but I don't use any grammar. I have misspelling. Like, I purposely make this thing look like it's the scribbles of a madman on Google Docs. So there you go. Once finished with draft zero, I sculpt draft one, coined by Vonnegut's fourth rule to writing with style: have the guts to cut. I trim the edges of the block in search of gems. As stated by Vonnegut, if a sentence, no matter how excellent, does not illuminate your subject in some new or useful way, scratch it out. So with this done, the overarching features of the story begin to present themselves like guests arriving at a dinner party. Okay, so once you have draft zero done, picture it as this big block. It's this big overarching viewpoint of the story, word vomited out. It's messy, but you have the story. You have somewhat of a visual of what happens in your story. Now, I use Vonnegut as representation because he says it best. I'll say it again: have the guts to cut. If something doesn't illuminate the subject, cut it. So now you start chopping off the fat. If you have a good view of your story from draft zero, think about it a little bit, then start cutting out the fat. Start sculpting it, put a little definition in the nose, the face, the eyes. What are you seeing? You'll start to elaborate. You'll start to see a bit of the themes getting presented, stuff like that. So you're starting now fine-tune it a little bit. Allow yourself to throw a little bit of perfectionism in there. For the first time, this is where you should see a little bit of perfectionism at play. But if you're a big perfectionist, make sure this is only a little bit. You don't want to get stuck on draft one here. You just want to allow yourself to start. A lot of people will enjoy draft one. I enjoy draft one actually kind of the most because it's like, wow, I have the vomit out. I have the full arcing story. I can now fine tune it and play with it. I can play with a little bit of the plot. I can see, I like this character. I'm going to give it a little more dialogue, stuff like that. So that's draft one. If it doesn't illuminate the subject, cut it out. Trim the fat. Don't be scared to cut things. You can always save it. I got advice from a writer where they have a graveyard. So on the bottom of their Google Docs, they call it the graveyard. Anything they cut from the story, they cut it, delete it, copy and paste it into the graveyard. That way, you're not losing everything. You still have some things you can always go back to and grab it. You probably never will, but you'll feel better that it's there if you need it. Okay. So next comes draft two, which I call the inner critic draft. For the first time, I dance with perfection, formatting prose, adding punctuation, and making bold decisions with characters, plot, and theme. This provides me with a manuscript in which I can be proud of and take for a stroll around the park, which I deem as my second to last step. So before we get into the second to last step, this is just an extension of draft draft two. I'm sorry. This is just an extension of draft one. We're on draft two, which is technically the third draft, but for me it's draft two. So draft two, you turn up the knobs on the inner critic just a little more. You didn't want it too much in draft one because you're still playing with things and you're allowing yourself to cut. This is where, it should start feeling pretty clean. Scrub it, not too hard, especially if you have a more raw writing style. You don't never want to take out your own voice because that's important. We'll get that in a future episode. But this is where you want to just turn the nozzle up a little bit. You should really be now looking at themes, certain characters, what their motives are. You should have a pretty good idea of the story because you're coming close to home base. You're rounding out second. I don't even play baseball, but you're about to hit third. You're pretty much hitting third, getting ready to come home. So take time on this one. This is where you can get excited. You'll be like, wow, I'm getting close to having this story ready for maybe you just to be proud of or to show someone. So that's where we come into the second to last one, which is take a stroll around the park. which I deem as my second to last step. The stroll around the park is where I share my manuscript to trusted friends, family members, and beta readers. It is the first time I showcase my work to the public, and although it is essential to soak in the reactions, I feel free to discard all of it. So that is so important, and it's so important especially for beginning writers when they maybe join a critique group for the first time, or they show a family member for the first time, anything like that. That's why I say wait till you're in your draft 2, draft 3 to show someone, because you want it to feel strong, you want to feel confident in it when you give it away to someone to read. You want someone to, be like, oh wow, I can tell he worked on this. This is something that, he's taken time on. He's looked at it himself. Especially because if you turn in a draft 0, it's vomit, and people aren't going to trust you fully because they're going to be like, wow, there's all these spelling errors and stuff. Once they see all these grammatical errors, they're going to be like, oh, he didn't take time on this. So wait till, draft 2, draft 3 to where, you have a good idea of your story. You have a better ability to discuss it too. And anyways, so you'll see I say take it to trusted friends, family members, and to beta readers. And this is where it's important. You have to find the fine line of defending your work, and you have to be confident in what you want out of the story. You will get such a wide range of opinions on your story, and it always hurts to get opinions and sent out because you're like, oh, well, it's not perfect. Anything we create, most people is, you almost are like, I want it to be, it feels perfect. I put this much time into it. There's always, whether it's going to be right or wrong, someone's going to give an opinion on it, something that they want different or change, because that's just how life is. That's how people are. It is so easy to get scared in this step, to take things the wrong way. People will attack your work. This is where I'd say the only way you can develop is by putting yourself in these situations where you're being read and critiqued, because you'll grow a stronger connection to your own work, and you'll grow a stronger awareness to, oh no, I actually like this. You'll be able to stick up for your work better. You'll have more confidence, and this is what I like out of my work. I don't want to change this. Or there's always going to be some critique where you're like, oh, that's a good idea. That's going to make the story better. So the more you can throw yourself in this stroll around the park, allow your stuff to be read and put an opinion on, you're going to grow, and your confidence in what you like and don't like in your own writing is going to grow with it. It's a very important step. So, and then after you get those beta readers and make those changes, then it's like, wow, I've gone through this 2 or 3 times myself. I've also given it out to the public, gotten their opinion, and then redrafted it again. You're feeling pretty damn good. So this is where we go to the final step of my procedure. Now comes the final curtain, inspired by Frank Sinatra's My Way, because it is my last and final dance with perfection itself. This could mean obsessing over the same sentence for an hour, taking long and reflective walks, or forgetting to eat a meal. Regardless, by the time I'm ready and finished with my story, I'm ready to face death for the story itself. Now the manuscript is ready to be consumed by the world. This, ladies and gentlemen, is where the passion comes in. This is why you call yourself a writer, okay? This is why we do it. After you've done all this bullshit for your story, you've put up with critique, you've put up with countless hours of redrafting, rewriting, going over characters, themes, plots, all these things. This is why, you're probably not getting paid to do this yet. This is where you have to rely on your passion. This could be, like I said, this could be not eating for days. This could mean, I don't want to promote bad things, so not, eat and do everything healthy. But all I'm saying is, this is slight obsession. This is where the best writers get their thing. Is Hemingway rewrote, I'm pretty sure, the end to Farewell to Arms like an insane amount of times. I think it was in 30 times, don't quote me. But that's called obsession to the craft. That you need an element of that. That's why I call it the final curtain. When you unveil the final curtain, you're finally on this last step of your story, this last draft. You should be meticulously looking through every little fucking letter and word. Lose a little bit of sleep over it, okay? Because then when you do unveil that curtain, you throw it out to the world, you have nothing to lose. You've done everything for yourself. Whether they like it or not, it doesn't matter, because you can respect yourself. This is your story. You put so much time into this story. So that's my procedure. Remember, I am a pantser. I'm more of a binge writer. and I'm an emotional writer. I wouldn't say I'm an academic writer by any means. So keep that in mind. This procedure has worked very well for me. It's not something I just crafted up randomly. It's from about a year and a half, 2 years of watching YouTube videos, going to writers, workshops, stuff like that. And it's worked well for me. I've been using it on all my stories. So I hope this helped. In the future, I have another episode planned for episode 4. We're just getting started, as I like to say. This is going to be a channel for all you writers out there. I want it to become a community where we can all come together and share our ideas on the craft, because we need more of that. So anyone hiding out there, come and discuss it. Let's have a little party. So thanks, guys. Spencer out. Take care.